Hi. You know what this is, right? It is another one of the new releases video. The 6th or 7th one I'm doing this year. And I love doing these videos, so I always have so much fun doing them. Also, hi, it's Anna, known as Book Anna. And today I'm going to be talking about all the books that are coming out during August. And I have 15 books and only 4 dates that books are coming out on. Let's just start with the first one. I'm again going to try to explain it to you, not read it to you, because explaining is much more fun to me than just reading the synopsis. So the first book that I have is The Dead Husband Cookbook by Danielle Valentine. This book comes out 5th of August, and the next 3 books come out 5th of August as well. So The Dead Husband Cookbook, as you can understand from the title, it is about a dead husband and a cookbook. Basically, it is about this woman who is now famous chef, and she's a famous writer in a cookbook community. She has amazing recipes, everybody loves her, but there's something that happened a few years back that kind of makes some people question whether these recipes are hers or maybe they are her husband's, because her husband was a big, very famous chef when he was alive, but then he disappeared. And now she has his recipes maybe. And maybe she had something to do with his disappearance. So you never know. But it sounds like it could be a very, very fun book indeed. I love books about food. That's something that I always gravitate toward when books have food on the covers, or if I can see that a book is about food. I just love reading about food. I love when there's like a big table full of different kinds of meals and different kinds of things, and then it's described in details. I love that. So I hope that this book will bring some details of these recipes or something, but it sounds quite fun. The next book is The Hounding by Xenobe Purvis. This book gives me very historical fiction vibes, and it is historical fiction, but it is more of a horror book, which I wouldn't think based on just the cover of the book. The cover of the book I love so much. It is said in the synopsis that this book is kind of like virgin suicides. So this book also follows these sisters, but they're called Mansfield sisters, and they live in this town, in this little village somewhere on hills, somewhere. I don't remember the name of this town, but nobody really likes them. You know, they're kind of weird to everybody. Nobody really wants to be friends with them. And then one of the villagers sees one of the sisters turning into a dog. Chaos ensues because why are these sisters turning into dogs? Also, this village is pretty creepy. It's very creepy, and some very weird things are happening in it. So yeah, that's basically what I can say. I love the cover. I think the cover of this book is amazing. Only thing is that I wouldn't ever think this book is a horror book based on a cover. The next book is a science fiction. It's Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz. This is a novella. It's a novella. It sounds a bit cozy, but it also sounds very dystopian. It is basically about this restaurant in San Francisco that is led by robots. And robots in this restaurant make the best old noodles anyone has ever tasted. They just work in this restaurant. That's their thing, because currently it's after wartime in San Francisco. There was a war, some kind of a war, and there aren't a lot of restaurants opened, so this robot restaurant is really well known and it's becoming quite famous. But then one day somebody, anonymous person, starts review bombing them and telling everybody that this restaurant is really awful. So these robots need to find out who it is and why they're doing so. And that's it. It sounds cozy, it sounds dystopian. I am always, when I'm reading books about robots or watching movies about robots, I am pronouncing robots really weird. I'm really sorry about that. But it's always really creepy to me, even though it's a good thing. even though maybe robots are good. It's still creepy to me, so... But it has food on the cover. And the last one that is coming out 5th of August is Black Flame by Gretchen Felker-Martin. This is the same author that wrote Manhunt. I still have not read Manhunt, although I really want to. And I think I will probably try to read it during September, October this year. But Black Flame is a book about movie restorationists. And one day somebody gives them a movie that was made during Holocaust and they have to restore this movie. But during restoration process, they realize that this movie's maybe not fiction. Maybe this movie is real things that happened, and maybe this movie has real things that are currently happening to this person, which is wild. And I love those kind of books. I really love when in the books you do not know what is a book, what is a movie, what is the real life of this person, when it's all interconnected and it's everything is going into everything. Book parts become this person's real life parts or movie parts, and I think this is going to be very, very creepy just based on the cover. This cover doesn't give me any kind of cozy vibes. It is very uncozy. it looks terrifying, to be honest, this cover, but it also sounds like a book I could really, really potentially enjoy very much. And the next book that I have is also kind of has similar premise. It is called A Game in Yellow by Hailey Piper. This is one of the books that I've been anticipating since January, since I found out that this book is going to come out. It's one of my most anticipated reads, definitely, of August. And this follows a couple, and this couple wants to spice up their relationship. And one of the people in this couple is given a manuscript of this very weird play that is called A King in Yellow. And this manuscript is really creepy and really weird and really bizarre. They are reading it, and as they're reading it, things from this book start to happen. It's very blurry what is a book and what is their real life, and it's also a horror. Game in Yellow comes up 12th of August, as well as other 5 books that I'm going to be talking about now. Then I have a book that is a literary fiction, finally a literary fiction book, and that is What Hunger by Catherine Dang. This is a book about bond between mother and a daughter, about generational trauma, and there's food involved. So the main character is just starting high school. She is Vietnamese. I believe her parents were immigrants from Vietnam, and it has something to do with that, but it says that something really awful happens in this family, and now our main character has to cope with that, and there's a lot of food involved. So I really don't know what this book is going to be about, but I am very, very intrigued. I know about this book again since January, so I'm very excited about it coming out. Then there's a book by an author that is becoming very popular, especially in the last year and a half. I believe I started hearing so many people talking about this author, and that is Chuck Tingle. And I have both of his books that are popular in horror genre, both Camp Damascus and Bury Your Gaze, on my TBR list. And this is another one that is going on my TBR list, and that is Lucky Day. Lucky Day is a book about our protagonist who went through this catastrophic world event that is called Low Probability Event. We do not know what that is, and she works as a statistician. Some kind of statistician, I something in maths. I don't really know what that is, and I don't understand that. She's called to go and research this weird phenomenon that is happening in one of the casinos in Las Vegas. I'm pronouncing things so weirdly today, but in this casino, people are very lucky, or someone is very lucky. It's a lucky casino. Usually I have a lot of historical fiction and a lot of literary fiction books on these TBRs, my new anticipated release TBRs. But for the next month, I have so many horror books, and I also have a lot more, I feel, fantasy books than I usually have. Then I have a book that has another amazing cover, and that is The Island of Last Things by Emma Sloley. This is about the last zoo on the earth, and that is a zoo on island Alcatraz. And the zookeeper in the zoo loves animals, and she's taking care of these animals. Everywhere else, it's very dangerous. We do not really know why. Still, we do not why, from synopsis at least. And then this new zookeeper comes to work there as well. This new zookeeper is kind of trying to go over the system, and they don't really want to follow the rules, and they want to get some of these animals off of this island and get them to a place that they say is very, very utopian for animals, and animals can roam freely, and they're trying to make our main character do that as well. So I think this, if anything, is speculative fiction. This book really sounds like speculative fiction. I don't know what to expect of this book. I don't even know on what path this book would go and would take me, so it sounds very interesting. Then I have a science fiction dystopian book that's called These Memories Do Not Belong to Us by Yiming. This is a book about basically media and government manipulation, but it is written in this a very interesting sounding format. So we are in future, and it's dystopian, and everything, the whole world is led by a very authoritarian country called Quinn. There's this thing that's called memory bank or something like that. It's basically these little devices that are put into our cranial and that collect everybody's memories, and when somebody passes away, they can, give them those memories to their sons and daughters or to anyone else they want to, and very rich people can buy these memories from people that they want to see their memories and feel their memories and basically live through the same things that these people live through. I think it could be a book that says a lot of things and that makes me think a lot about certain things. And then I have a very horror book, and I just have to say colors of this book are amazing because these are purple and red are my favorite colors. But this is House of Monstrous Women by Daphne Fama. It's set in Philippines, I believe during 50s or 80s, I'm not sure. But it is set somewhere in 20th century. It follows our main character, and she is called into this house by her childhood friend to play. And if she wins, she will get whatever wish she had granted. So, of course, she wants to play because she's currently very lost in her life. She doesn't really know what is happening, what she needs to do, and things in her life aren't really looking good. So she decides to play this game, and this game is played in this very labyrinth-like house, and there are very weird paranormal things happening in this house, and she needs to stay alive and win, I guess. And it sounds very, very fun, and I love books with death games. It's a concept that I know a lot of people are tired of, but I personally am never tired of. I feel like if it's done well, it can say so much about society. Although I read many books with this concept, I still really, really enjoy it, and I don't think I'll get tired of it soon. Well, I'm not reading like 100 books with the same concept. I'm reading these kind of books with other kinds of books, so I feel like that's why I never really get bored of it, but I just love it. Then we are on 19th of August, and we have 3 books coming out on 19th of August. The first one is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Canas. Another author that I have both The Hacienda and Vampires of El Norte on my TBR, but have not read either one of them. And now I have another one. And this is a gothic horror with romance elements. I believe it's a book that follows dual POVs. The first POV is from this woman who is traveling with her fiance and somebody else, and she's having these weird hallucinations. She doesn't really feel well. Something is very, very wrong. She feels like something with her body is very wrong. She doesn't feel like herself anymore. And we have another POV that is from this guy that is a cousin of this woman's fiance. And he's kind of in love with this woman, and he starts to realize that something is very wrong with her. I'm maybe going on a whim here, but I think that maybe it's possession. Maybe she's possessed. Maybe that's wrong. Just going based on vibes, nothing else made me think about it. And then I have Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher, an author that I read already one book from, and I have to read the sequel of that book, and then I have to read like 500 other books that they wrote, because I feel like they are putting out a book every 3 months. Basically, there are so many books and everybody are talking about them, and I just really need to start reading their backlist. But I believe this is a retelling of Snow White based on, well, on Goodreads it says that it's retelling. One of the characters in this book is called Snow, and also there's an apple on the cover, so I believe that it is a Snow White retelling. What this book is actually about, I don't know. I didn't really research it that much. I just really do want to read a Snow White retelling with the horror elements. And then I have a book that is called The Once and Future Me by Melissa Bates. The Once and Future Me is about a woman who wakes up one day on a bus, and she doesn't remember where she's going. She doesn't know from where she came, who she really is, and this bus takes her to this psychiatric hospital, and there they tell her that she is a schizophrenic and she needs to stay in this hospital so they can treat her, so that she can take some kind of treatment. She doesn't really trust them though. She feels like something is very wrong with them, but also she is hallucinating and she's seeing things that aren't there, and she's traveling into future, and in future she's the one who needs to save the world. So she doesn't really know who to trust. And then her husband shows up, a man that claims to be her husband at least. So there's another thing that she isn't really certain of. The last date that I have, and 2 books are coming out on this date, is 26th of August. And the first one is The Whole Parts by Penny Zang. This is a book about 2 friends, 2 best friends. It's dual timeline book, so we have something that is happening currently and something that happened before. These 2 friends are going into college. It's all women school, and there's this club that's called Sylvia Club, which is a very bizarre club because a lot of students that were part of this club are killed or died in a mysterious way. Something happened to them. So these 2 friends are interested in this and trying to research what is happening with people in this club. And then one of them dies. And the other one is so sad. She's so hurt by the death of her best friend since childhood that she decides to have a baby with her grieving husband. Like few months after the funeral, because she's so sad, and it's very awful thing that happened to her. So this friend that died decides to come back as a ghost, and maybe isn't really happy with her friend, but also she's still trying to figure out what was happening with this Sylvia Club. There are a lot of things happening in this book, not gonna lie. From synopsis, I feel like there's going to be a lot of different things happening in this book. I don't know if they're going to be connected really well, if this death of her friend and this Sylvia Club are going to be connected. And the last book that I put on this list is a book that I feel everybody are talking about and everybody are anticipating, because it's a book by R.F. Kuang. It's Katabasis. I hope I pronounced it right because I heard so many other pronunciations. But Katabasis by R.F. Kuang, a dark academia fantasy book I love R.F. Kuang's writing, and I really loved and enjoyed Babel very much, so I hope I will be enjoying Katabasis as well. But Katabasis follows our main character who really wants to become the brightest mind in this field that's called magic, with a K in the end. And she has a mentor, a professor she's working with, but then sadly this professor dies in a magic accident. So she decides that his death is not something that should stop her. She still needs to become the brightest mind in this field. She goes into hell to him so she can find him, and he can help her. He can continue helping her. But there's a rival, a male love interest maybe. It says that this book is romance, so I believe it's a romance interest. A rivalry, romance, enemies to lovers maybe. And he decides the same thing basically. He also wants to go to hell to find this professor so this professor can help him. From what I heard about this book, it is a retelling of Dante's Inferno. I did read parts of Dante's Inferno. I had to read it in high school. I didn't read it completely. I did read, I feel like, half of it. That's it. Those are all the books that I have on this list. I try to be as concise as possible. I do like that there are a lot of horror books coming out in August, so I will probably be able to get my hands on them during September, and I'll be able to read them during October, which is my favorite month of the year. October and November are my favorite months because October is so Halloweeny, and the weather is still not too cold, but there are leaves everywhere. And then November is my birthday month, and I get a lot of books from other people, and it's just fun. So I'm very excited that there are a lot of good books coming out now, so I can get to them. I hope you want to read one of these books. And if you have some anticipated releases that I haven't talked about that are coming out in August, or are coming out whenever, actually, I don't really care, whenever, please let me know in the comments down below, because I do love finding out about new books and new different authors that I have not heard about before. So if you have anything, put it in the comments and I will read it. I love reading it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!